Inside every single one of your cells, there's a book of life. It's written in a code that's 3 billion letters long. For pretty much all of human history, we could barely even read the cover. But now we're using computers to translate the whole thing. This is computational biology, and it's the field that's decoding the very blueprint of who we are. So let's break down how it all works.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the absolute flood of data that modern biology is dealing with. Then, we'll look at the incredible digital tools we've built to handle it. We'll also see how a crucial partnership makes all this discovery possible, walk through a simple, real-world example, and then most importantly, we'll get into why this should matter directly to you.
So you see, the biggest problem in biology today isn't a lack of information. It's that we have an absolute tsunami of it. I mean, scientists are generating data way faster than they can possibly analyze it, and that's created a challenge on a scale we've just never seen before.
And to really put that data flood into perspective, just look at this number, 3 billion. That's how many chemical letters or base pairs are in your DNA, a single human's DNA. If you were to print that out, you'd fill something like 200 massive telephone books. Now imagine your job is to find a single typo in that entire library that might be the key to a disease.
And that really is the fundamental question, isn't it? How can any person, or even a huge team of people, possibly read that book, figure out its grammar, and find the important stories hidden inside that massive wall of text? The human eye just isn't going to cut it.
So, how in the world do you read a book that large? Well, you build a totally new kind of microscope. This one isn't made of glass and lenses, though. It's built from pure processing power and really sophisticated algorithms. It's a digital microscope for seeing the invisible patterns hiding in our DNA. And yeah, this digital microscope has a name: computational biology. At its heart, it's all about applying just immense computing power to that biological data flood. It's the science of finding the meaningful signals that are buried in all the noise and turning all that raw, overwhelming information into discoveries we can actually use. So how does it actually do that? It really comes down to 3 key steps. First, it takes all that chaotic data and organizes it into a structured, readable format. Then, it analyzes that data, hunting for any correlations and patterns. And finally, and this is the really exciting part, it uses those patterns to predict biological outcomes, like, say, how a specific person might respond to a new drug.
But here's the thing, computational biology doesn't do this all by itself. No way. It has an absolutely essential partner that makes sure the insights it finds are real and meaningful. And that partner is biostatistics.
Okay, here's a great way to think about this partnership. Computational biology builds the super powerful engine, the algorithms that can crunch billions of data points. But biostatistics? That's the navigator. It uses rigorous statistical methods to make sure that the patterns our engine finds are real destinations, not just random noise on the map.
And this team has a very clear mission. Together, they're tackling some of the most critical questions in all of medicine, finding the genetic roots of disease, developing more targeted and effective drugs, and ultimately trying to reverse engineer the incredibly complex machinery of life itself.
All right, theory is great, but let's actually see how this works in practice. We're going to walk through a simplified example to see how this partnership takes us from just a messy spreadsheet all the way to a potential medical breakthrough.
So imagine we've just wrapped up a clinical trial for a new drug. What we're left with is a mountain of data that looks kind of like this: a giant table with patient info, their different gene variants, and how each person responded to the treatment. Right now, it's just a sea of raw, unorganized information. Okay, now the computational tools get to work. They start sifting through all that data, and they might spit out a chart like this one, which highlights a really interesting potential pattern. All of a sudden, it looks like patients with a specific version of a gene, we'll just call it gene variant A, are responding much, much better to the drug. That is a powerful clue. But is it a real clue, or is it just a random fluke? That's where biostatistics comes in. It applies statistical tests to confirm that, yep, this connection is statistically significant and not just some random coincidence. And boom, with that confirmation, we've gone from data to discovery. We found what's called a potential biomarker. So look, this isn't just some abstract exercise for scientists in a lab. The work we've just described has a direct and frankly profound impact on our health, our medicine, and all of our futures. And this is the ultimate promise of computational biology. This partnership is literally building the future of medicine.
We're talking about a future with smarter drugs that are designed for your specific genetic code. A future where we can diagnose diseases like cancer months or even years earlier than we can now. It's a huge shift from reactive to proactive healthcare.
By combining this massive data processing with rigorous statistical proof, we now have a toolkit to ask questions we never ever could before. It really makes you wonder, with this powerful digital microscope now pointed directly at the Book of Life, what monumental medical mysteries are we going to solve next?
And that's our look at the incredible world of computational biology. If this explainer helped you get a better handle on the topic, let us know by hitting that like button and subscribing for more. You can also find the audio version of this on Apple Podcasts. We've put the link in the description. We'd love to hear your feedback and, of course, what topics you want us to tackle next. Thanks for watching.